I'm a...
Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Leopard, King Michael. This is the King's Court, brought to you by LegitPodcast.com. It is March 26, 2024. 326-224. 6 divided by 2 is 3. I got no math for you. I got no math for the math geeks. I want to welcome everybody to King's Court. Mike, what are you going to talk about? A bunch of things. We're going to go around the gamut. Let's start, though, with the paranormal. So there's this guy, Mythos, from YouTube, right? And he's been going very hard in the paint with the whole Cody and Satori incident. Like claiming someone's real or not is one thing. Like I'm like, whatever, you can do that all you want. That's whatever. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And then like saying that like maybe a location is making money when they're not being completely like, you don't hype up different areas with like scary names like it's the Disney parking lot. You just don't do it. But anyways, so now first off, I like Cody and Satori. I actually Cody's a great guy. So all the things going back and forth, but Mythos on his most recent thing, and I even like Mythos the way he covers stuff. At least his sense of humor. But he basically said this. He basically did a video that said that, and I'm going to sum this up in the best way I can, that by getting people to believe that their loved ones were reaching out to them in the afterlife, gave them like an okay or a better feeling that they could no longer be around by their own doing. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, now you're at a point where you're saying that, let me get this straight. So you're saying that because they made people believe in the afterlife, that they could talk to their loved ones, that gives people a better feeling on how to, they could just not be here because they know there's someplace else. And the minute he said that, I thought to myself, what about priests? Like, what about them? Don't they make us believe that there's a heaven? Like, what about anybody that's religious? Aren't they telling me there's a heaven? That's not giving me more of a reason to, not be around. Like, so I don't know, Mythos, man. I don't know how you could say that. But like, you can say that they're fake. You can say you don't like them. You can say that Cody's using his foot to make knocks. You can say whatever you want. But by saying that, by what they make people believe could lead to people having that issue of no longer being here, is opening up a can of worms that's huge. Because that's like saying, dude, like, again, a priest, like they're telling you the same thing, that there's an afterlife. You just no one's listening to them. The world we live in. That's the point we're at. We're not even listening to them, because admittedly we think of them, we think of P. Diddy. lure. So I would say on behalf of, and I'm going to just say this myself on behalf of them, you cannot you cannot blame them for people like anybody in this paranormal world, right? If you believe them, that's great. If they bring you comfort, that's great. I've always been a person of saying, like, if this is what you believe and it makes you feel good and it's not hurting anyone else, by all means. Like, I don't really need to know the details, but by all means. But when you say stuff like getting them to believe that there's an afterlife makes it easier for them to blank, 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 it's like, come on. Uh, So this whole time, everyone that's been taught that there's an afterlife, that gives you more of a reason to do that. Like, don't try to claim something that's unprovable is proven to do something. If it's an unprovable fact, if it's unprovable what they deal with, no offense, paranormal is in a sense unprovable. If it's unprovable, you can't say that someone's it's like, come on, everybody that's ever been on so every preacher that's ever been on stage with that electric blue carpet that touches somebody on the head and all of a sudden they can walk again. Those people, right, shouldn't be held responsible for their actions. But people doing the paranormal and speaking to the other realm, which is again, no offense, unprovable, is something that you can prove leads to people doing that. Doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. That was a reach where you hurt your back. You hurt your back on that reach. You reach way too far on that. Like, stick to like real issues. Like, you know what I mean? And while we're on that, I've been in the paranormal world for about 4 years. Four, yeah, 4 years. And uh I'll be honest, because this is what this is about, this show, The King's Court. Yeah, a lot of people take themselves way, way too seriously. Way too seriously. Regal almost. And it's like the people that are my age or older, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You gotta slow your roll and not be so uh don't grasp onto the light of fame or what you think is fame as much as you do. Just let it go, guy. Or girl, whatever. Just let it go. And the younger generation, don't be just skeptical. Don't make it your point to just disprove someone else. If you spend your whole life disproving someone else, that's a waste. That's a waste. That's a waste of a life. Like, I would rather be the one you're disproving than be the one that's doing the disproving because you're looking at what I'm doing in life. Like if I'm Cody and Satori, I'm like, you know what? You're spending your time and energy disproving what I do, right? As opposed to I'm gonna go do what I want to do. So again, I don't side either way with what's real, what's not real, what I believe in, what's not believe in. No, and no one gets into the paranormal to get rich. I mean, see, some people think that you get rich or that you make money, and they tell other people that you think that you made money, but you didn't make money. It's one of those things. There's no money in the paranormal, and there's really no fame. There really is no fame. I don't know what it is you think you're going to see, what you think you're going to record, what you think you're going to do that's going to make the internet go wild and get you on The View, which I would never want to be on. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk about The View later on because I think it's one of the most horrific TV shows that's ever existed, and I just don't understand it. But stick with that really quick. So, yeah, I think that's going. Again, what's out of bounds to me? I don't know. I think when you start attacking somebody for you attach reasons to what they're causing or stuff like that. You don't go after the person's family. I don't know. I come from a generation of you don't rat, so it's weird in that sense. So, but I would think that you stick to like what you don't like about me or what you don't believe that I said, and keep it to that. And if you keep it to that, then who would have a problem with that? But when you start saying like, hey, Mike said something that made this guy like fill up a water balloon and throw it over his wife's head. Like that's like, no, I did not. I mean, that'd be great. But no, it would never happen. You know what I mean? Like that's just not something that would happen. So don't, man. And honestly, I wish that whole situation was handled more like straight on. The paranormal world, you guys don't like to handle things directly. It's hearsay, gossip, and trickery. It's you got to find out stuff from somebody who will tell you stuff that somebody did to you or said about you or showed about you or yada 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 yada. That's how it works. So I come from the world of rock and roll, not roll and rock, but rock and roll, where it was very catty and very political and very competitive. And then I marched my way into the podcast world and slash paranormal podcast world. And holy cow, did you guys take it up a notch? Catty and I'm the best and I'm the one and it's me and it goes through me or it doesn't and that this that the other. You don't make it easy for everybody else. You don't. The paranormal world is not inviting. It's not inviting. It's just not. It's the old guard, right? Who just they don't want to try new ways. They don't want to do different stuff. I like the old method. Just give me my tape recorder. And then it's the new guard that's like, oh, we want to do this. And oh, my Xbox, it shows these green dots and lines of these guys that are constantly moving, which is bullshit. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. Watch how cleansing this feels right here. That whole Connect thing about ghosts, seeing the ghost with your Connect thing picks up a ghost. Oh, look, he's dancing over on the left. Now he's laying down. Is bullshit. Bullshit. It's a camera trying to pick up a form because the camera is designed to pick up the person's shape for the video game thing to work. It's looking for a person. So it makes up people with what it sees. Ah, boy. Yes, I get it, guy. Let's switch from the paranormal really quick. Let me ask everybody a question here, right? So everyone knows Hunter Biden's tapes, right? The whole goddamn computer worth of stuff, allegedly, I guess, right? And everybody knows about the whole Epstein thing, allegedly, in the list, right? That's always redacted, right? It's never coming out because they won't let it come out because they're not going to let it come out. But Diddy gets his home raided. We get chatter. Usher goes on the Shay Shay show. Next thing you know, they raid Diddy's house. Now, am I saying, hey, you shouldn't have raided Diddy's house? No. First off, let's just start by the fact that the man uses the nickname of Diddy. Diddy is always been someone that I've been suspect of. My favorite quote is Dave Chappelle, where he says, I'll use the word player. Player said he wasn't shiny, but he looks shiny to me. Like it was like, don't ever let him shine. Don't catch him shine. Something like that. I forget what the rap verse was, but he looks shiny to me. And I agree. That man did things that were very out in the open, which is a big problem. I think some of the worst stuff gets done out in the open and gets swept up. But my question is, we raided Diddy's house like crazy. Like, I don't even know. Is he on the run? He could be in a white Bronco, allegedly. I have no clue. But I'll tell you what, we talked about Diddy for a couple of months and oh my God, we raided his house. But then there's a list. So there's two people that got arrested for having a child circus ring that's not fun circus. It's a very bad circus ring. And they had to have clientele. You You can't sell lemonade if no one's buying lemonade. I've never seen McDonald's stay open when no one bought food. So my point is, you have to have a list. You've had names mentioned many times in court cases, yet these names consistently remain redacted, and they will throw out the most obvious names they can to you. The ones that you're going to go, oh, yeah, I heard about him. Oh, of course it was him. Of course. Like at this point, allegedly, Bill Clinton, allegedly, it's like you hear Bill Clinton, allegedly, you're like, yeah, and it doesn't matter how many times you mention him. You can say that there's a picture of him wearing a blue dress inside the mansion that was photographed. Now, why would somebody have a picture of another man in a dress hanging up on the wall? Unless it was like a power move or just a weird thing. Maybe they're the Blue Dress Club. My bad. Didn't know they started one. Those names are constantly redacted, but Diddy is getting his house raided. Now, should Diddy have his house raided? I think he should. Yeah, I think Diddy's going to have some things go way back on him. Because, I mean, like, you got allegedly Justin Bieber, allegedly, why do I always forget the little guy's what is his name? And I'm always forgetting him. Everyone, Ursher, as my man would say, Ursher. He is saying some weird things about him. And it goes deeper with Meek Mills. It goes with I guess he had quote unquote allegedly, whatever you want to call it, freaky nights or freak out nights where things were going to get freaky, or you knew not to stay at a Diddy party for too long because things were going to get freaky. Now, I'm terrified because I would not want to be with Diddy when he was in a freaky mode. People with power eventually get bored, I think, of having power and where their position is in life, and they just abuse it. I think that's what's happened with Diddy. I think that's what's going on with his case. And it also leads me to my next part, which is the whole Nickelodeon documentary that came out called Quiet on the Set. And Jesus Louise, like, want to talk about depressing? Want to talk depressing? Let's talk Quiet on the Set. Quiet on the Set is one of the most depressing documentaries I've ever seen. Is it true? Probably, yeah. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying, gosh darn, did I not want to learn that the Nickelodeon shows that my kids watched had that many issues? Let me bring up Block Island Rick. What's up, Rick?
What up, Mike? How you doing, brother?
I just can't have you sit in the green room. How are you?
I was comfy down here.
I got to talk about. Did you see Quiet on the Set?
I watched the first 2 episodes. Haven't gotten through the rest yet.
So, all right. So that kid Drake Bell came forward as being the kid that was involved as the child defendant from the case back in like 14 or 04 or my time. I don't know dates. I watched that and I felt like some people were bitter. Like you can't watch a documentary and believe everyone. Like some people were bitter, right? Some people had legitimate beefs. Now it was Dan Schneider and Brian Peck. Brian Peck was the one that was arrested. He was the vocal coach, which a vocal coach on a TV show is weird. But anyways, Dan Schneider was always creepy. From Head of the Class. I don't know if you remember when he was in Head of the Class. Like,
yeah, I couldn't put my thumb on what show he is, but I was like, this guy was an actor back in the day.
He was in Head of the Class, and then even more so, he was on the John Cusack movie, Better Off Dead, where he skis.
Yeah.
Remember?
I want my $2.
Yeah. All right, but you remember the geeky kid that lived next door?
Yeah.
Ricky. This is your girlfriend. It's Christmas. that woman. Well, Ricky, the geek, was played by Dan Schneider, and he's creepy as all hell in that movie.
Yeah, man. It's all it's all these people in positions of power, man. After a while, it gets they always get a little dicey,
It's when because I just went from Diddy which the nickname says it all, to this. Here's the thing. I feel like when people accomplish goals and they get to a certain level of fame, they get bored. I think you literally are watching people get bored and be seduced by power, the
Hell
ability
yeah.
to do something and not have any repercussions.
What was that? Weinstein. Weinstein's a perfect example.
You mean Epstein? Oh,
No.
Weinstein, but I was saying how Epstein, they still redact all the names,
Oh yeah.
but yet we raided Diddy's house.
Both of them. A mansion in Miami and a mansion in LA at the same time.
But we still haven't seen the list of people that were serviced by the Epstein. No, but they raided Diddy's houses.
Well, I think consensus nowadays with the whole Epstein thing is allegedly he was working for somebody's intelligence office.
But the thing is, allegedly, he has to have they have a client list. They have a flight record.
Oh yeah.
It won't be brought up. When it is brought up, people go like this because it's a hard subject to talk about. So it's like, but yet Nickelodeon comes out with this thing after Diddy gets raided, and everyone's talking about the Nickelodeon thing. It's everybody's reaction. Everybody wants to film their reaction, Rick, to the Nickelodeon thing. It's like, really? Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe our principles, priorities, they're not quite right. They're not quite right, is what I'm saying. Then I want to move on really quickly before we get into sports and other stuff. Just one more thing. Rick, The View is the worst show I've ever seen in my fucking life.
It's getting worse and worse too.
Rick, I have a list of, so let me explain why I dislike The View. All right. First off, they come across as if they know what they're talking about and that they're right, that they are right. There is no wiggle room in what it is they are saying. And right now, the cast of Sunny Houston, the main woman now that has a horrible face work, she just shines. Her face shines.
I know who you're talking about.
She says the world's dumbest shit you've ever heard. She is an absolute moron, in my opinion. And it's not like politics wise. I don't even listen to the politics side of it. She's just a moron for how she definitively said shit. And then Whoopi Goldberg, give me a fucking break.
What happened to Whoopi, Mike?
Rick, how did she go from being funny and hip and being someone that was edgy, that would say stuff that offended people, to just being this woman with white dreads that just gets more and more like the trash heap from the Fraggles?
Yeah, man.
Joy Behar, though, is the one that I like. If there was one, Mike, if you were like, hey, Mike, pick a celebrity you never want to meet, it would be Joy Behar. She's like an unfunny aunt. Like, first off, Joy Behar was like a B level, in my opinion, to B plus comedian, right? She was out a long time ago, dude. She's old. She's been trying to hit the comedy scene. She's been a comedian forever. She wasn't that funny. And on top of that, how she went from being, well, Whoopi too, but how she went from being a comedian to now somebody who tells like a Tulsi Gabbard, like political stuff, or anybody that's in politics, political stuff, or how she just says stuff so definitively. She's Joy Behar. Am I out of my mind when I say that? Like, it's Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar. There's a woman named Sunny Houston, whatever it is. How in God's name would you listen to these people?
How long have they been on the air for? It's been years.
I'm gonna go over that with you. 97 it started, Rick. Here's the people that have hosted. Barbara Walters, who I didn't like Babs. At this point in her career, Babs was a political. Meredith Vieira, who I kind of like. Joy, don't like her. Star Jones, oh God. Debbie Matenopoulos, Lisa Ling, no. Elizabeth Hasselbeck from Survivor married one of the Hasselbeck brothers. She was like the token Republican, and I got tired of what she said all the time. Rosie O'Donnell, Sherry Shepard, Jenny McCarthy, Rosie Perez. I could almost stop there. If you wanted me to name a list of people that I would not take advice from, I might go Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi Goldberg, Jenny McCarthy, Rosie Perez. There it is. And then I go, what? You gave him a show? And they're talking about what? Politics and real life stuff?
16 years, man.
That's like if Old Dirty Bastard, DMX, and like MC Ren had their own podcast on women's cooking. It like Sherry Shepard, Raven Simone. I mean, Paula Ferris, Michelle Collins, Sarah Hines, Megan McCain, Abby Huntsman, Anna Navarro, Alyssa. And then the girl from Growing Pains. Did I not say her name? What is her full name now? Oh, Candace Cameron Burr. You know, Kirk Cameron's little sister.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron, the most aggravating and annoying Christian fellow I've ever met in my life. Have you ever seen his stuff about how he went from being like a hunk to now being like, I don't know, he's so pro, like everything's got to be in God's name, for God, this God, that God, believe God, 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 God. It's like, Kirk, relax. And then Candace is an idiot. I don't know. I think The View is the worst show that's ever existed, Rick. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But you know what? One of my favorite clips ever is the time Norm Macdonald went on there.
Every time he went on.
Every time he went on, he would torch him up.
The story goes, producer told him he hide a phone and that he was going to call his phone. Like, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. And Norm goes out there and Norm starts talking about Bill Clinton being murdered.
Yeah,
like,
the Clinton hit list.
Yeah, right. And Babs is immediately like furious, like, oh no, you can't talk about. And Star Jones is trying to be like, we won't let you on again. And I'm thinking in my head, Star Jones, how do you think you have the power over whether or not Norm Macdonald will grace your show? You idiot. And then Norm, being my idol, just kept doubling down. Refused to give in to the peer pressure of the fact that they were like, oh, shut up. He wouldn't shut up. My favorite was when he said, I thought that was just a matter of public record.
Yeah, no, it was great. There's a few people have torched him up through the years, and it's pretty good.
The thing is, people listen to them. That's the worst part. I don't even know if they realize that, but people, like women at home, listen to them, and then not giving you good advice, and it's not quite right. It isn't right.
Well, you know, the news in itself. I mean, what are you going to choose for at that hour? The 5 on Fox, Joe Scarborough on MSNBC.
The thing is, with the news now, you know what you're going to get, though, when you decide to pick that channel.
Yeah.
You go to Fox, you know what you're going to get. If you go over to like a CNN, you better know what you're going to get. But the point is, like, The View, it's during the day. There's supposed to be game shows, Rick, and fun stuff during the day. I don't need these
Bill Donahue, you know, Jerry Springer.
Like, give me something other than these. I just, you know, it's because I'm a guy. It's something about these 4 or 5 women just yapping away the whole time, not making sense, and just believing that they're making sense, and then backing each other up. That it's like it is a male nightmare where these women get together and they tell each other stuff that's just bonkers, and they form this like weird, like, because it's hard to break through. You know what I mean? It's hard to break through. Like, how are you going to get me to, like, I don't understand why people do shows where they go, you know what? I don't want anybody on this side to agree with me. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, and it's not just because it's a group of women. It's a group of those, you know, it's those particular women. I am millions of well-informed women friends who I would love to hear them talk about stuff, but they're coming some from the so far left, and they're just regurgitating whatever is coming across, the far left ticker, and it's I don't know.
Rick, when we started fighting for how we can identify our own selves, was the first step at separating everybody. Like it used to be, it's the melting pot, where our goal is everyone to be eventually the same, which is always like a weird, nice dream. Like, oh, eventually we're all going to end up being like equally the same. And now it's like, no, I'm an individual. And I blame rap music, because they're the ones that allowed groups to become solo artists and artists like that. Like, I miss rap groups. I don't like rappers, artists. Anybody that's an artist, dude, I've been like this since I've been in music. When musicians would come up to me and they would say they were artists, I would go, all right. Because it's a tough thing to claim. It's like other people should call you an artist as opposed to like you should be calling yourself an artist. Rick, all right. It's at the 30-minute mark. I wanted to say, let's go. We've stopped talking about it. Well, you're right. Women should be worried about that. But here's what the problem is. And again, not to quote Dave Chappelle, but every time a group speaks up and makes like some sort of dent, if you wait, it swings back against them, and they make the worst laws and rules to crush. And this is the establishment of whatever was going on. And right now, even like the LGBTQ plus, whatever you want to say, community is feeling that effect, because now there's laws being put in place purposely against what they're trying to do. And it's like, why are they doing this? It's like, well, maybe you went a little too far. Like, maybe you just pushed it too far. Like, you got to know when to like say, hey, pay attention to us, but not make it something where you are going to inflict the wrath of the establishment. They don't let anybody get too high, Rick. They wait, and then they counterattack. And they've been doing that since, God, I mean, all the way back since the 60s. The government will wait. If this movement rise up and it's too big a deal, they counterattack it, slam it back down. And that's what's been happening. Like, it's been behind the scenes, it gets worse. That's my feeling. When you say out loud, you think it's getting better, but you're actually making worse behind the scenes.
Mike.
Yes.
And a little Italian folklore question for you. Do you know what a piticuse is?
You're saying it differently, but I might know.
Well, the way my mom would explain it, it was this little thing that lived in the well, and it would just come up, and it'd be like, and you go down and you look at it, and it disappears. You walk away, it comes back up, the piticuse is there again. Yeah. That's the far left, and that's the far right. They're the ones making all the noise, and they're the ones getting all, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And, 80% of us in the middle, are suffering from the consequences of these right nutbags and these left nutbags.
So my problem is that I would have said 10 years ago I was more blue than I was red. But I find nowadays it seems like not only are they both have their extremes where they're both, in my opinion, bonkers, right? But the blue side tries to say always that the right side's in cahoots with Russia, China, white supremacy. Like, they pump so much. Like, I feel like they're in charge of the media. Like, the blue now has, like, it's blue has served. They have charge of kind of the media. So they get that whole, oh God, because it's always like the red's always saying like the blue is a bunch of loonies. And the blue's always saying, oh, they're corrupt with this, that. They can't prove stuff. The problem is when you keep saying stuff and it doesn't come out true, it doesn't get reported, but it gets remembered by people like us. Like, it's like, dude, how many times are you gonna say this stuff? Like,
yeah, both sides are doing it now. It's a vicious cycle. There's no moderates.
Yes,
there's no moderates anymore. They used to. like be like the cartoons where they clock in, chase each other all day.
Oh, that's my favorite. Morning, George. Morning.
Yeah. And then,
would,
they clock out and then they go to have drinks together because, 90% of the stuff that happens in government, it's mostly bipartisan. It really is. A lot of but it's the fringes, again, that are making all the noise. I mean, what is the real divide in the country now? You know what I mean? Besides, if you take away if you take away both fringes, though,
you give us a second, we'll create a divide. I feel like it's weird. You're not gonna be able to live stream to Facebook anymore from a thing, but Facebook every now and then will go from gun control, black versus white, men versus women, LGBTQ, and then they'll rotate. And we get the same bullshit all the time, dividing people.
And you'll get the two sides of both the story too. You know what I mean? So,
Rick, I caught more shit in the last election time and during the whole lockdown thing because I didn't have a side. People wanted you to take a side. Like who you vote? Like imagine they were like, "Who are you voting for?" When back in the day, you didn't tell people who you were voting for, but people were asking, "Who are you voting for?" And I'm just like, I'm not going to tell you. And then if you were blue, you would tell me, "Oh, you're voting with Trump." And if you were red, you're like, "Oh, you're voting for Biden." And it's like I would let people just blow their chunks, whatever. Say what you guys say, because it's like I don't care what you have to say. I make my own opinion, but like they're both gone way too far from the center. And dude, the fact that we both know that we're gonna have to vote for two guys,
either one of those guys,
we don't want to vote for. Like, imagine having to vote for someone you hate because you think he has a better chance of living. No one wants to address that fact. Like, which one are you gonna vote for president? Well, I got to be honest. Before I go to what their views are and who they are as a person, I want to make sure they'll be here for all 4 years.
Yeah, or make their way off the stage without needing a couple people to help.
Just come on, rotate them out, rotate someone in. Let's go.
The fact that those are the two is just absolutely ridiculous.
It's depressing. You want to talk about being able to like pull hope from people? Put those two people on the ballot. Just watch people vote like dejectedly, like just sad voting. It's going to be the year of sad voting. Like, I bet there's going to be so many people that did not vote like for the presidents. Like they'll be like, wow, we got like 1 million votes for the governor, but 5 people voted for the president. Everybody else wrote in like Harry Truman, like, which would be a great hashtag Harry Truman. Oh, I think we should all elect him.
Well, I know I told you that, I was thinking about voting for RFK, and then it came out that a couple of his VP choices were Aaron Rodgers and Jesse the Body.
Well, keep in mind, though, RFK is like, while he does say stuff that's a lot of truths, he is an eccentric person.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. I just want to
never see Trump working out, shirt off. Like, RFK is like, look at me, bang, bang, bang. Look at him doing push-ups. Like, the guy is just out there,
I just want him to release the rest of the JFK files.
Yeah, I feel like he could never get elected because he knows too much stuff.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't last too long in the family business.
Rick, let me switch over right here now, and let's talk about why I'm doing this show. We're gonna touch transfer over to sports here now. Recently it was told to me that sports and paranormal, that's something, I don't know if you're familiar. That's something that I've done from day one. Like I've always have 1 foot in one foot in the other. And now there's new sports paranormal shows that are just they're not unique. They're not flattering. And I've struggled with ways to. Here's the thing, Rick. When you start doing podcasts, right? if you're successful or if you're not successful, I'm not saying I'm one or the other. I guess it's flattery when someone is copying your exact presentation, the way you wrap up, the way you do things, like personal things, like little things like that. But I've got a theory on that. You know, they always say, "Oh, flattery is the highest form of a compliment." And whenever I say that saying, I get to the part of flattery, and it's just like, "Ah, fuck you." So it's kind of my saying would kind of be like, "Well, flattery is the highest. Fuck you." Like, I don't want to hear that. It's to me a ripoff.
It's like,
Well, dude, I wish for originality. Like, listen to me. Like, if tomorrow you were like, Mike, I'm out of here. I'm doing my own podcast, right? If you did them in a way that I was like, wow, I didn't think of that, or I don't like that, or I really do like that because it's completely different. I'd be like, good for Rick. I'd be so happy and be like, yeah, more power to you. But if you did something that was legitimately just like this, I'd be like, come on. Like, we
come
got
on,
to
Rick.
come up with your own ideas. Like, I don't know. Rick, it's the thing is, I'm lucky in the sense that I really don't care that much about how the local paranormal scene views me, because they either know me or they don't know me. And if they want to get to know me, they can talk to me. And if they have an issue with me, they can talk to me. But we live in a world where everyone has an issue, but they won't ever tell you,
Yeah.
or not, at least not to you personally, and definitely not in your face. Like, not in person is like, ugh. It's again, and it's not saying like we're the tough generation. It's just that, like, if I have something serious, I'll call you.
Hell yeah.
You'll just
Go.
know, and it's not me being tough. It's just me being like, let's just talk this because this is how it should go. I would never put any of your private messages or anything you've ever said up online. I don't rat. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, if I have an argument with you, I want to make sure I can prove to everybody why I'm right. Matter of fact, I don't say shit. I just keep my mouth shut and let other people talk, because it's like, why bother arguing? But I don't know. You think I take it too personal when that happens? Because you got to keep in mind, I feel like I've had a million ideas taken, and I kind of can prove that. But it's like, after a while, I guess it's like I get to the point where I'm like, all right, it's enough. Enough's enough. Like, at least acknowledge the fact that you're just not even doing a good remix. You're just like, it's a bad remix. It's like Old Country Road, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, well, you just keep doing you. You're gonna, you know, what I mean, you're fine.
No, I know I'm fine, but they're not fine. And it's a matter of, do you say anything? Because you don't, everyone goes, oh, don't say something because you're going to stir up shit and this, that, the other. And, for a large portion of this time, I've said, all right, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to cause a problem for anybody else. And that's literally how I've told the line, as trying to be like the host of the show. Like, I'm trying to toe that line. But you get to the point where you can't let people forget who you are.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
and I'm just doing a bit of a warning, in the sense of like, let's see how this works out. Let's see if you pay attention to me. Let's see if you listen. Hold on one second. What did you think of that, Pally?
I guess so.
All right, Pally again.
I guess so.
I'm sorry, Rick. Rick, by the way, Rick does not. So anything that I say or I do or I state does not reflect Rick or anybody else part of this organization. But Pally, what are your thoughts on that one? That's what I thought. All right, Pally. Well, thank you so much, Rick. Let's switch over to the world of sports now, shall we?
What the fuck just happened?
The world of the NFL draft is coming up, Rick. And what I want to talk about this is really quick. I've done the draft live for the last 6 years with my brother. Ray's not going to be able to do it this year. But now there's another show. I think Pally, the potato, is doing his own live cast of the show, which doesn't make much sense because of the draft, because he doesn't really understand the draft. But let's talk about the draft really quick. your New England Patriots. First off, don't like the fact that they signed Gerard Mayo. They had a contract clause that Gerard Mayo would become
What's the next guy?
coach. No. You don't do next guy up. You interview people. I didn't like. If I was a Giants fan and that happened, well, then again, I got a lot to complain about. But as a Pats fan, you'd be like, we should interview people.
Well, I thought I think everyone in Pats Nation thought that it was going to be a couple years. He was, they were grooming him to be the head coach. Belichick was going to be around for a couple more years. Maybe let him get his feet under the ground, back up, on the ground more before it happened. But hey, we're here now. Let's give the guy a try. He was a beast on the field.
Yeah,
everyone.
I know,
everyone,
man.
I know. Everyone seems to like him in the organization, and I think we're happy that it's not going to be such a monarchy anymore.
I don't think you're going to be happy with the results. I'm worried about what they're going to do with that draft pick. Now, if I'm the Patriots, I trade with the Vikings. That's
for the 2 picks for the 9
in a heartbeat. Because if you guys think that you just need a quarterback to get over the hump, you're not drafting a future Tom Brady. Like, it's not guaranteed. And when you need that many places, I'm a big fan of the Giants drafting a receiver in round 1. And then if you're interested in a Penix Jr. or Bo Nix, get him in the draft back up, trade back up. I'm just saying, if your dad,
I'm so sick of hearing about Bo Nix.
Yeah, but it's J.J. McCarthy is what I'm sick about. Everyone has the Giants taking J.J. McCarthy. The Commanders the commies might take J.J. McCarthy early. It's like, J.J. McCarthy. He's going to be a better pro than he was a college player. How the can you say that? How good was he in college?
That's the same thing with the guy from Michigan. You know what I mean? You have the best offensive line, the best receivers in the game.
That's J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, you're never playing from behind. I mean,
you got the best running game. You ran the ball most of the game. They never asked you to throw the ball to win. You won all these games, and you're gonna say that he's gonna be a better pro than a college player? How do you know that?
Your footwork's horrible. All of it, soup to nuts.
The NFL has lost it by going by the combine, by going by those kind of stats. They either go by, well, how good did he do in college? Give me the guy who dominated, because I want a guy who can dominate on that level. Because if he can't dominate on that level, he's not going to dominate up here. I don't want to hear the other bullshit about how, he'll be better when he's.
No. Yeah, if you haven't played from behind and won, then I mean, look at all the best quarterbacks. They came from not B-level teams, but they're not they're not coming from the number 1 teams.
No, it's look, the draft is a crapshoot, especially with quarterbacks, man. Like, how many quarterbacks have we seen get drafted and just be gone? Just gone. Yeah. Just look at Zach Wilson and Mac and Daniel looks like he's on the chop block. Or is he? It's just so much bullshit with that in the whole process. And they don't go by anymore, in my opinion. I talk to my friend Stu. Like, some team should hire me as a general manager, and I'm just going to go by game tape. I don't want to see anything else. Take all that measurable shit out the window. I want to see, did the kid dominate? Did he score touchdowns? Did he get sacks? Was he constantly, was his motor on the whole time? That's all I want to know. And to me, that would simplify everything. That would make
I agree 1,000%. I mean, there is stuff to say for being able to read defenses, being able to make the right calls on the line. But if you're playing with an all-star team, those calls are easy.
And the thing is, in college, it's not like the defense is filled with professionals. There's like 1 or 2 kids out there that maybe shouldn't be out there, and they're gonna get burned. You know what I mean? So it's like, now, Rick, I know you don't follow wrestling, but WrestleMania is coming up, and they're doing, again, WrestleMania has now become a 2-night event. The Rock is on both nights. So night 1 is The Rock and Roman Reigns. Now, understand they're from the same family tree, right? The Ma'awatu, I think, family. And so Roman Reigns is head of the table. He does the whole thing. They come out, the whole family with them. He wears the lei. But now The Rock's come back, and he's like the final boss. So there's a conflict between them two. They want to fight for the belt, but Cody Rhodes gets in the middle of it. So they have a tag team match. It's gonna be The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Now, if The Rock and Roman Reigns win, that means that at the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns title bout the next night, the bloodline, meaning his family, are allowed to get involved. If Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins wins, no one's allowed ringside. So let me go into this. We did a wrestling show a long time ago where I said, literally like 2 years ago, I said they should keep the belt on Roman Reigns and not take it off him for like a couple of years. That was literally what I said, because I was like, they just need to build up a champ for once. Like that's been, because everybody's like 13-time, 14-time world champion. Like, I want to know about how long he's been champion. He passed Bruno Sammartino purposely. So he's the longest running. Now, from what I've heard, what?
Even longer than the Hulkster?
Oh, Hulk never had it actually anywhere near. Bruno Sammartino had it so long that it was like that was a while where it never left the Northeast, that belt. It was all Italians and Bruno. But so here's the thing. I know for a fact that it'll be a loss to, first off, you can't have Roman Reigns and The Rock lose on night one, right? Roman Reigns, who hasn't lost in forever, you can't have him lose on night one in a tag match. That's first off. Second of all, what I've heard is, so the plan for WrestleMania is when the bloodline comes out to back up Roman Reigns, all former WWE superstars like Cena, Stone Cold, etc., are going to come out for Cody Rhodes. And they're going to have this ultimate, like, who's who, all standing around the ring. And to keep Roman Reigns from having to wrestle 2 straight nights, and The Rock, because he's got to wrestle 2 straight nights, to ease that, by bringing all those legends in, you now open up a main event that could involve 2 guys fighting, but all these legends and people
fighting in the
right?
streets. Yeah, yeah, that's
dude.
awesome.
It's very well. It's been very well done, and it's like in my head, I'm like, oh man, you could get it. You can get Hogan. Like, oh my God, you get all these guys to go up against like the whole. It could be huge. So that I'm hoping is going to be a huge event, and I like wrestling for the sense of like people want to tell you it's fake. I get that. It's obviously predetermined, but they're some of the most athletic people I've ever seen in my life. And their storytelling, like they do the WWE Hall of Fame inductions I think on Friday, and going in who he died recently was Bray Wyatt. No, I don't know if you're familiar with Bray Wyatt. Does the Fiend? He was the cult leader. He was just one of the most. He thought about what he was going to do as a character and his character work, and the way he brought in the paranormal world of it, the aspect of like he had like a fun show that was like kind of like a twisted fun show, and he was always worried about like if he got too angry, he turned into the Fiend, which was like a monster version of him. It was just, but it was almost more believable than the other wrestlers' gimmicks, like their generic gimmicks. Like this guy that's struggling with all these issues in his head and these demons that has this stuff come back. Like, he was so ahead of his time, and that guy, I feel so bad that he passed away. But he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame as well as Paul E. Heyman, one of the greatest speakers on a microphone. I mean, he started ECW. He's been the spokesperson for Brock. He's been the spokesperson for fucking Roman, for CM Punk. Like he's money in the bank, not to coin their term. Rick, you have anything on sports or anything else you'd like to talk about before I go into something else?
What about Tyson fighting Jake Paul?
All right, yeah. So let's get into that really quick.
I hope Tyson fucking kills him.
All right, so Jake Paul's going to see about 2 rounds of fury come his way before Tyson's legs go. Tyson's going to be about 57 at the time, right? So if I'm Jake Paul, I jab and just run and I back because in my head, I hope and God won't grant me this because you gotta have things 50-50. But I hope that Jake Paul just decides to stand there
Yeah.
and throw at them, because the thing is this, like, and I knew this about my dad. It was weird how I figured it out, and I can tell this with my son. Power doesn't go. That's the last thing to leave your body is
Old man strength. I live with a bunch of fishermen. Are you kidding me? There's 60, 70-year-olds who will whip anyone's ass out here.
Tyson throws that left to the body, left hook. That's so unconventional, but so brutal, where he goes like bang and he's up.
Yeah, no.
He also does that whole peekaboo style where he's like throwing combinations. And the thing is, Jake Paul's never been hit
by
as
Tyson.
hard as he'll be hit by a 57-year-old man.
Yeah.
But this guy hits on like heavyweight championship, one of the greatest of all time levels.
Did you see his I can't remember what it was, but I saw Tyson's tweet the other day about the fight. And he's like, I am coming and I am ready to fight. And I think Jake Paul's going by that last Mickey Mouse fight that Tyson did against who was it?
Roy Jones Jr. Well, he didn't want to fight Roy Jones. He wanted to fight Bob Sapp or somebody big. He didn't want to. He was like, the last thing I wanted to fight was somebody who could move. And Roy Jones danced, and they're old. By the time he's done dancing,
but
they're both done.
It was exactly. They were told to fight like old men, and this is not that. I think Tyson's going to try to bury his head.
There's three styles of fighters that they always talk about. There's like the Sonny Liston, like the George Foreman, like brutes that like they just pound people, right? Then there's the inside guys, your Rocky Marcianos, your Mike Tysons, your Marvin Haglers, that they just want to get inside your shoulders.
Yeah.
And do as much like
there's the pocket.
Joe Frazier. You hit them, they'll hit you. They don't care. They want to be in that pocket, right? Then you have the Alis, the guys like that, the Mayweathers, that they're on the outside, pop, 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 moving. Yeah. Now, the outside guys do very well against the heavy hitters, the bombers. They don't do very well, though, against the guys that stay in the pocket, because an outside guy doesn't want you being in his chest the whole time. That's a difficult problem. And then you flip that. So they do against that. The inside guys have a problem with the bombers, because like when Joe Frazier went to fight George Foreman, he got in on George, and George was like, boom, boom. It's like, you know what I mean? Like wrecking balls. And what are you going to do on that? Like you don't have the defense for that, right? So they don't do good against that. And then the bombers don't do well against the outside fighters, which is why Foreman against Ali struggles, because they're throwing these and he's doing this and he's
moving in and out. He's moving in and out. Yeah.
There's a term, styles make fights. And I 100% believe in that in boxing and then everything else in life. It's just the style of the matchup. That's how I pick football. That's how I pick all my sports. Like when I'm picking games, it's what type of teams are playing each other. Like what are they gonna? Who's gonna try to impose their will, or who's gonna be the better matchup? And as far as I'm concerned, Paul he wants to hit, and he's never really been a dancer. He doesn't dance much, so I don't see him as an Ali type. I see him more as like just a straight ahead. And you don't want to be a straight ahead anything with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas had a jab from hell that like kept Tyson just delirious. You don't want to just come in and go, all right, let's who was the white guy that they fed to the wolves
when he came out of
No. It was some other guy, some Irish guy when he came out of retirement.
Yeah. I'm doing this for my brother.
Where the guys like this, they're in the stare down. Tyson's just following his eyes the whole time, like I'm gonna kill you. I'm about to kill you. And that guy came out like he was in a slug, and it was just like one punch reminded him of like, you shouldn't be in here slugging.
Yeah.
Like, have a better plan. If this is a real fight, and I've heard about gloves being like 400 ounces, I've heard of all kinds of stipulations. If it's a real fight, Tyson has 2 rounds to knock him out. Do I think Paul will give him the chance to do that? No, I think he'll dance. I think if you had to bet that fight, you might actually want to bet on Paul, because it's kind of fixed in that sense. Like
Sure.
he's not gonna go fight. You're not gonna walk into the ring and just walk across the ring and start throwing punches with Mike fucking Tyson. You know what I mean? Like just like who you guarding? Steph Curry. How you gonna guard him? Well, I'm gonna give him the threes. I'm just gonna stay over here in the paint.
Yeah.
What kind of game plan is that shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't do that. No. Also in sports though, the NBA. I don't know if you follow this, but the NBA has been probably what's up, JK? It's been my favorite recently because there are some people that are playing like you get like I know you don't know who he is, but a Jalen Green from the Rockets. This kid played in the D League, made his way over to the NBA, and he just shoots from anywhere. He had 41 points the other night. Like there's just these kids that are playing. They're changing basketball. Basketball is a different sport. It's not in the paint. It's not box out. Remember we used to do post-up moves?
Yeah.
Now, you're a little taller than me. I'm about 6 feet. A little over, but I'm 6 feet. Back in my day, that was somewhat tall. So I had to learn post moves.
Sure, the drop step.
Put my back, make
The up and under.
Right, go here, make sure I use the backboard. No, I don't none of that shit no more. Like Zion Williams or Paulo Banchero, two gigantic guys. They will face you and go past you. They will get into the lane and be able to just lean back and have they're about 7 feet, have such length where they can just throw the ball. It's non-aggressive. Like all of these great people that I speak of, these basketball players, they don't dunk. They don't come into the lane to dunk. They come into the lane to like get the foul and hold it for a second and throw it up like this. So it's a different style of basketball. And I always say this to my son. So my son always said this to me. He's like, because I coached him forever. And he's like, was I a better basketball player than you? Yes. Technically, without a doubt, skill-wise, much better basketball player than me. Then he's like, you think I'd beat you? No. I'm like, look, if a group of your friends played my friends back in the day, we went by rules based on when I played, no. We would beat the shit out of you, and you wouldn't be able to shoot three-pointers all game long because you'd get one hard foul into the top of your arm. You wouldn't be thinking. Rick, the worst thing I ever did in my life that I still feel bad about, but I still think was deserved, was we're in junior high playing a road game. I'm down low. And they had this kid who kept coming down the lane and doing these like fancy layups to like celebrate. So the coach puts me in. I think he knows because that's my, he knows that I'll do it. Anyways, the kid comes down the lane. He made a move. He goes up. He jumped up in the air, and I bridged him. And if you're a basketball player, you know what I mean by that. I put my back out, so he had to go over me, and he landed on his head like a sack of potatoes, and both benches cleared. But he never tried any fancy layups again. And that's what they don't understand, what we're saying. Like, back in the day, you did one too many, and we knew. You knew. You were gonna come across the lane. We're gonna let you know. It was just a different mentality. They're not allowed to do that anymore. And Rick, in football, did you see the new rule? The whole when you tackle around the waist, you can't use your weight to bring the What the is that? How are you going to tackle?
Flag football.
No, I mean, but like, I'm hearing that and I'm going, I don't even understand that. How are these football players that are playing at that speed? Like a play happens and you just go there, and now you're supposed to remember. Well, when I grab his waist, as I'm pulling him into the ground, I have to make sure that I don't use my weight to force him down.
Well,
Rick, tell me, explain that to me.
No, what is that? That's against physics.
It's bullshit now. It really is. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right.
Have you been watching the NCAAs?
I have. And you know what's funny is the Oakland win against Kentucky was absolutely bonkers. All
the games. I've been staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. Every game, it seems like it's overtime. 2 points, 3 points. They've been great.
I was in the first round. It was, I think, was it a friend of mine had 13 out of 16 on the first day, and I had 12. So I did really good the first day because I always pick like an 11 seed to beat. I always do that. Just how that works. It's how the bracket works. But I haven't actually followed it over the last day and a half, and I don't even did Duke get beat?
No, Duke's still in it.
I have Duke winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's how the bracket. In other words, I don't think Duke is the best team in that tournament. But when I do the brackets, I break it down again, like matchups, like I just said before, like styles make fights. Who plays who? Can they beat? And I just saw that Duke had an easier path, in my opinion, to get there than other teams.
Yeah.
Not a Duke
I don't know
fan.
who's gonna win. I don't know who's gonna win, but it's fun to watch, man. It's such a great thing.
Dude, sports are awesome. It's just that's just being honest. Like sports are great.
I woke up. I pissed off everyone in the house the other night. I forget what game it was. Where it was the one where the guy tied it up with 1.2 seconds from the ball was inbounded from their basket. Guy catches it at his ankle, puts it up, and I'm by myself. Everyone else is asleep, and I just scream, "Oh my god!" And all of a sudden, the dogs start going off. I'm getting yelled at by both the girls upstairs.
Yeah,
so
there's
it's not very often that kind of thing can happen. You know, it's great.
Isn't it that if you played high school basketball, college basketball makes more sense to you than the NBA does.
Sure.
Like you can see yourself on the college floor because of the system they're running and how it's more team oriented and how it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Defense.
Trapping.
Yeah.
Pressing.
The whole trap, the 22 press, the 55. I mean, I even coached, so I know it too well, but it's like it just got so much different. The physicality. Here's the thing. You think it's a pro or con that the physicality of all sports is being slowly taken away? No, I mean, is it pro or con? I get the pro because less, I guess, concussions. You know?
Sure. I understand that about football, but basketball, I mean, or hockey, I don't know. It's a better game when they're hitting.
Here's my thing. If you sign up to play a sport and you know what the sport entails, I find it hard to blame that sport later on when you know what you signed up for. Like boxers end up, they used to call it punch drunk. It's just CTE.
Yep.
But if you're gonna let your head get punched, what are your thoughts? Like what I mean, not, but they're probably not many, but like, you're getting your head punched. What are you expecting? Like that's what's gonna happen. And then like football, come on, like it's so hard on these defensive guys. You're asking them at full speed at a 4.4 40-yard dash speed to pull up at the last second or to not use their weight. Or dude, back in the day, LT would tell people, I'm going to hit you. And you would throw the ball. He was giving those 2 steps and he would hit you. Dude, I made a montage of the things he would do to quarterbacks. Hit him with that forearm, grab him and bring him into the ground like he was going to just, like it was WrestleMania. Just bam. I mean, you can't impose your will like that on defense anymore.
Yeah, Ronnie Lott was my favorite player growing up, even though I was a Pats fan.
You know, Ronnie Lott, the best story of Ronnie Lott is the finger, because they had to figure out how to fix the finger at halftime, and he was like, take it off. There's not a football player alive today that would say, hey, take it off.
Take it off.
They would, you know why? Because NBA players get rest days. Rest days, Rick. Rest days. Like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird try to play every single game of the season. So did Michael Jordan. They try to play every single game, not only because they were competitors, but because they knew people paid money to come see them play.
Oh, yeah.
These guys take rest days. That's ridiculous.
Agreed.
Rick, that was sports. That was paranormal. That was a little bit of everything. Anything you'd like to say to wrap it up? See, the King's Court is going to be a show for me to just spew, get it out of my system, and then get back into hosting mode for the rest of all the paranormal shows, because we've
Well-
got a lot of great things coming up in the paranormal world. Between you, Sarah Paranormal, we got Sarah G, Sin. I mean, I can go down the line. JK, we got Atkins, we got Shaw, we got. I'm probably forgetting people, but we've got a ton of people. We get a lot of big things coming up.
Yeah, good
But-
crew, sure.
But if I don't do this, I realize if I don't do this, if I don't allow myself to say, here's what I think, or here's what I'm upset about, if I don't give myself that outlet, then I'm not going to be good.
Yeah, you're gonna say it on those other shows.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be said on those other shows, but it needs to be said here. So before I wrap it up and say what I got to say, would you like to say anything to wrap it up?
Well, we're coming up on another Thursday night with Clips in 101. Besides all the other shows that are going on, I'm looking forward to it. Getting ready. We're starting to work on the Block Island Halloween event the weekend before Halloween. I expect everyone to come out and have a good time. And that's it. And rant on, my brother.
To wrap it up, I'm gonna say I want to thank everybody that's involved with legitpodcast.com. The support I get at home, the fact that that I'm able to have a medium where I can get on and say whatever not whatever I want to say, but things that I think need to be said like this. Because in the other shows I have to host and I have to kind of maintain everything, but here I get to be, me, and get to say what I want to say and what I really believe in. And I need that to vent. And to other people, I would only wish you originality. I would hope that you would do something that I didn't teach you, or do something I taught you, but take it to another level or a different level, or add spice to it. That's all I ask. And as far as people see with this, when you say, hey, I'm going to go talk on the internet for 700 hours, one, there's something wrong with you. Two, you got to expect double the negativity as you do the positivity, because that's just how the world works. And what I ask of the negativity is, do I only wish that it was not done behind my back on other things, or said to someone I know, but said to me. Like, I'm not being tough. It's just a matter of being a guy. You can call that whatever you want. Talking to another guy, and you just settle things. There's something about confronting somebody head on and dealing with things that's
And then moving
easier.
on. And
It's
then moving
easier.
on. Yeah.
Right, dude. It's like, all right, we don't agree, whatever, we're on, but we get it out. When I have to hear about it, and it's all this other hearsay and all that other shit, and it's just this copycat shit and stuff like that, it's depressing, and I feel bad, and I want to attack, but I know not to. I don't want to ever get personal. I would never mention anyone's family, friends. I don't do that. Like I'm not a rat. Like in other words, Rick, tonight we end the show, and I'm like, yeah, great show, Rick, you dickhead. And you're like, well, fuck you, Mike. I wouldn't expect tomorrow for you to be like, Mike is the worst person that's ever lived, and let me tell you why. And then there's like emails like from like a year ago of me sending to you and shit like that. And all of a sudden they're on the internet. It's just like, I don't deal with stuff like that. I don't even understand where that comes from. Like, what makes you think that that's like an acceptable way of handling issues? No,
I get what you're saying, brother. And you put it out there, and let's see what happens,
I mean, I tell you what, like the whole thing with the Conjuring House, I said what I honestly believed about the players involved. And then when it got to the point where the guy Mythos started to say that, like, by making people believe in the paranormal, you're enabling them to have a better reason to commit because they know there's an afterlife. And I'm like, you can't say that, because that's what priests do. Like, that's what everyone does. Like, you can't tag them on that, man. You can't tag them on that. So, like, call someone out for if they're being real, fake, whatever. But don't try to attach them to like something horrific like that, because if you say that, then everybody in the paranormal world is guilty. because everybody that's out there that's trying to explain that there's a afterlife, there's something else, is in the same breath saying the same thing that they're saying. I don't care if they're true, fake, whatever, indifferent. If they're saying they speak to your past loved ones, all this stuff, whatever it is, just like I said before in the show, like those priests with the blue rug and they heal people by putting their hands on them. That's all the same shit. You can't say that by someone saying, "Oh, I spoke to your dead loved ones," that made you go, "Oh, well, I know that they're out there, so maybe I will get rid of myself because I know that there's someplace to go." To say that was ridiculous. You can't pin that on them. You can't pin paranormal people on making you believe in an afterlife, and therefore you decide, oh, that's going to be the reason that I'm no longer here because I know there's an afterlife. Because that's what religion does. That's what a lot of things do. So that's a bad swipe. So I stuck up for them in the beginning of the show, and I still stick up for them. Like he hurt his back on that reach. Like he reached so far for that one, his back hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My guy says people don't handle things old school anymore. Too many snowflakes. Now, here's what I'm going to agree and disagree with you, Mike. You are 100% right with the first sentence. The second sentence, the word snowflakes is too easy to use because it encompasses just too much, right? But I know what you're saying. I don't like the word snowflakes because it's like, I don't know, it's a derogatory term to lump people together. And it's just like, no one handles it old school anymore. It has nothing to do with snowflakes.
The schoolyard's big enough for everyone. Everyone's got a phone. Call some people if you need to talk to them.
There you go. Rick, thank you for joining me on tonight's show. The goal here is hopefully 50% of the people were entertained. 50% of the people were annoyed or aggravated. That would be pretty
good. You're
welcome. Yeah, I can't wait for next week because I'm just going to dive deeper into sports, social issues, politics as I see them, the paranormal world as I see them. It's the King's Court, so let's see how this works out. It's either going to be one of the better things I've ever done or the end.
All right, Mike, you have a good one, brother.
Let me wrap it up for you. For Block Island Rick, for me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This was the King's Court, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. Please like and subscribe on social media. It's Legit Podcast, DOTCOM. We spell it out. Please go on our site, legitpodcast.com. We have the Atkins tumblers on sale. Best thing about Atkins tumblers is it keeps the hot stuff hot.
Keeps the cold stuff cold.
What else would you want from a tumbler? And we also have Sin, Schrader, Hill, authors, books, much, much more. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow night will be Legit Paranormal Roulette, followed by the Legit Paranormal News. Thank you for tuning in. For Rick.